All right. Welcome back to another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. I'm Chris Driscoll. No one joining me today. Tuesday afternoon. 2 weeks ago, I think I did a Tuesday time slot as well. Past couple of Thursdays have been pretty busy, so going with some family stuff. But basketball season is right around the corner, so we're looking to go live as much as possible for the next couple weeks, and especially with how far we are into our series now. It is episode 97, as I mentioned, and every episode I do the number of which player wore something for that number. So episode 97, Broderick Thomas wore the number 97 for the 2022 Boston Celtics. I don't remember him playing that much for the Celtics. He played 12 games for the Celtics in 2022, but no playoff games. So I'm imagining that was probably towards the beginning of the season when the Celtics weren't really that good. Also, Eugene Omoyuri, he played for the Pistons and the Thunder in 2023 and the Wizards in 2024. So didn't play last year. I guess he either had a quick NBA career or a pause in his NBA career. Maybe someone that can come back later. That's all for basketball. Let me check for football as well because it's been tough to get the basketball ones lately, especially when you get like in like the late 90s. So let me check the NFL players to wear the number 97 as well. I can't imagine there are many of them. Maybe there's a good amount of defensive linemen, but let's see. Um, so we have a couple of them. Looks like Nick Bosa is one of them. I'm trying to find the football reference one because that's usually the best one. Let me check more. But yeah, Nick Bosa is one of them. Okay, here we go. Here's Pro Football Reference that we're pulling up right here. And here's 98, but 97. Good podcasting by me right here. But yeah, we have Cameron Hayward who's still currently playing. We have Bryant Young, Laurent Glover. Could have sworn, yeah, Nick Bosa is one of them. Yeah, I guess he hasn't really had too long a peak. So yeah, it's mostly some defensive linemen that we got here, which isn't really surprising at all. We got two more of the actually calling out NBA players based on their number. We have number 98 and number 99. Episode 98 will likely be on Thursday nights. That's probably going to be our last Thursday night until we get into episode 100. And then 99 will probably be on Sunday nights after that. So busy week ahead of us, but I'm very, very happy to be back into the groove. Took the past 2 Thursdays off again. Not going to go into details, but yeah, just had a good amount going on. So yeah, I'm definitely happy to be back in the share, even though the share is very uncomfortable. By the way, it's not like it's definitely don't have a close relationship with the share. I was just saying, like, I guess I'm just more happy to be behind my laptop screen and talking to you guys. Anyway, okay, a couple things I want to talk about today. So I'm not even going to mention the LeBron story, mainly just because I just feel like that's going to be mentioned enough. I'm assuming that John and Matt are going to be on with me on Thursday night, so I'll probably have this talk with them on Thursday as well. And yeah, tomorrow night is actually NBA Max as well, so definitely going to be having a conversation with those guys about this. So that's okay. Yeah, there we go. I think that's better, um, but really, what I wanted to talk about now was I know that last week on NBA Max we gave our top 10 players in the league. One thing that I like to do is, and I know like a lot of people don't love this, but it's something I really like to dive into. I like to dive into my criteria and how I rank my NBA players because if anyone knows me, it's I literally talked about this on my first or second episode of the All American Hoops podcast. I love making lists. I think it's pretty obvious because like very often I'll post a graphic of a list that that either I put together or that me and Matt put together or that me, Matt, and John put together or that me and another creator put together. I love making lists of ranking players. Now, some people will either find this cringeworthy or they just don't like it. They just don't like it in general. They say like, oh, it's not talking about basketball. And I can see that point of view to an extent because like if someone's just making a list just to make a list or even making a list to discredit a player, I can understand why someone would see that as bad faith. That's not the way that I see it, though. The way that I see it is that I think of making lists as like an activity to do. So when I make my list personally, first of all, brings me great joy. It's like I like listing off just some of the best players in the league. But also, even if you just do a list randomly, like there's the meme of just get like there's nothing more fun than a bunch of guys in the lunchroom cafeteria just like listing off random role players from the 2010s. So some people can see that as bad faith when you start to intentionally list players lower just to get some clicks. That's not what I do though. I like to make my lists and I like to have fun with them. So I probably spend the most time on two lists, and they're probably the most obvious ones. So one of them is I do every year. The one I'm going to talk about today, and that's my all time, not all time. It's my ranking the current day players of the NBA, and then the second biggest one, the biggest one, is the one I've spent the lowest time on through the years, obviously, and that's just my all time list. That list is just around 100 right now. It's a little, it's gone 200. I've always stopped at 100, but I've always wanted to expand it. But by the time I usually get to 100, I'm finished editing. It gets a little tiring. But yeah, I'm definitely going to eventually get to surpass that 100 mark. I know that Aaron, aka Possible Chair, is friend of the pod. He and his friend Nate from the Hoops Temple podcast. I've been on that podcast too. They have a ongoing top 500 lists. Maybe I'll go that far one day, but I don't know if I have the discipline for that. But that being said, I do love making my list, so I'm definitely not putting that off the table at all. But anyway, back to the list that I'm going to talk about today. So ESPN came out with their list earlier, and then they said, okay, here's who we think are going to be the top 100 players for the 2025-26 season. And the problem that I see with that is, first of all, I know the list is definitely made to be clickbait at the very least. You get people like us going on my show, and I'm talking about it just like totally dissecting how their list is and everything, and I get that, but I also feel like sometimes I feel like it's a little over exaggerated, just because I think people in their own mind have their different set of criterias. Let me explain. When you ask someone who the best player in the league is, most of them will say Nikola Jokic. You ask them why. Very oftentimes, they can't give a good reason. Not that they can't give a good reason, but like they have a hard time building their case. So it's not that they're necessarily sheeps for the media, and they say like oh, because this person from First Take, or this person from Player's Choice, or this person from First Things First, they think that Nikola Jokic and Giannis are the two best players in the league, so they have to be the two best players in the league. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. What I am saying is, however, people don't really always have a set criteria when creating their own lists, and people can do whatever they want. And I'm not saying otherwise, but me personally, I take my I've been talking about my list for a little bit now, so I take my list making very seriously. So I think, okay, I can list off my top 100 players all time very easily. But what does it all mean, really? If someone says like, okay, so if so, basically, just the basic question you should ask someone is like, when they come up with their list, say, okay, based on what? So I think that Larry Bird is top 5 basketball player all time. Someone would say, okay, based on what? Oh, based on the fact that he has one of the highest peaks of all time. Based on the fact that he's top 5 in MVP shares. Based on the fact that he's one of the most well put together players of all time. So that's just based on a couple of those things. So you can give your talking points for each player and just say like oh, here's the strengths and here's the weaknesses. What does it really mean though? So before you get into any type of debate with someone as to whether or not this player is better or this player is worse, let's establish some ground rules. So that's something that I like to do. Let's establish some ground rules. Let's agree on terms. Can't imagine many people are going to be commenting on this, but I just want to explain my criteria pretty quickly. I did this on All American Hoops last year when I dove into my top 100. I did this all in one episode last year, and I did this on NBA Max the other day. So, or I think this was 2 weeks ago at this point. So before I explain, the basic question that I like to answer when ranking my players is this: if I am building my team to win a championship, who do I want on my team? Very simple. And I know, like, in a way it is simple, like very simple. You're saying like, oh, you're gonna pick the best players you want to win a championship, obviously. So you're gonna pick the best players. But what does it mean to be the best player? Because that's not always the case, to be honest with you. You're not always just going to pick the best players. And that also doesn't mean you have to pick the best player to each position. That's how you rank them. Because I could very easily say, okay, I'm gonna pick Steph Curry. I'm going to pick Luka Doncic. I'm going to pick Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm going to pick who's another Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell. Those are debatably the top five guards. Let's take out Devin Booker and put in Anthony Edwards instead, because I'm pretty sure those would be the top five guards. Steph Curry, no order by the way. Steph Curry, Luka, Shai, Donovan Mitchell, and Anthony Edwards in no order. Those are in my opinion the top five guards in the league. Now, they're the top five guards in the league, and they're also five of, at worst, the top 15 players in the league. In my opinion, top 12 players in the league, probably like five of the best top 12 players in the league. Now, a team like that would win you a lot of ball games for sure, because you have a bunch of talented guys on your team. However, if you're building your team to win a championship, are those really five guys you want in the same team at the same time? What was it? I don't know. Would Anthony Edwards be the guy guarding Anthony Davis or Jason Tatum or Giannis, Embiid, Jokic? Would it be Luka? Have it because he's like the tallest one on the team. Do you really trust him to be the guy guarding Anthony Davis, the guy to be guarding Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic? Of course not. So, but also at the same time, so I'm not necessarily just saying you have to only pick one player at each position when you rank them one at a time. What I am saying, however, is that I do value players that can play off other great players better. For example, a guy like Steph Curry, he has slipped off a lot. That's I don't want to say like he's not washed for sure, because he had a great season last year. Because like some people had him first team All NBA. He's not as good as he used to be. Not as good as he was in 2016. Not as good as he was in 2021. Even 2022 when they won the title. He's not that. It's not that he's not the guy, but he's just not as good as he used to be. Still, if I were to plug him next to another great player, that team's gonna be awesome, because Steph Curry plays amazing alongside other greats. He played amazing alongside Kevin Durant. He plays awesome alongside Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, and he played awesome alongside Jimmy Butler this past year. Then you have players. I feel like I give the same. I feel like I use the Trae Young example every time, and I feel bad for it just because I don't want to disrespect him too much. But let's go with the play. Let's say Karl-Anthony Towns. How about that? So Karl-Anthony Towns is going to win you a lot of regular season games as both the first and the second option. Especially if he's the second best player on your team, you're going to win a lot of regular season games. But come playoff time, he might get you two playoff series wins, which is what ends up happening. A lot of things had to go their way, especially with the Celtics playing horrible in the second rounds. You see someone you want on your team if you want to win a championship? Defense becomes a lot more important come the playoffs. And it's not like you can just easily put Cat at the 4 and then have a great defensive big, and then that'll solve all your problems, because it worked for the Wolves. It did work for the Wolves because they ended up making the conference finals, but then they ended up losing in 5, down 3-0 to the Mavs. A lot of that had to do with Gobert, a lot of that had to do with Cat, because both of them had their limitations in the playoffs defensively. And with Cat, it's even worse. You saw him get totally exposed against the Pacers last year. But when things are going well with Cat, he's, I'd say, easily top 20 in the league. What is it? He either made second or third team on NBA last year. I don't remember. He definitely made third. I feel like, could be wrong though. Is he a guy you want on your team if you want to win a championship? Maybe in some people's eyes, that's fine. All these lists are very subjective, by the way, so it's kind of tough. But with me, I care about how great you play alongside others. Cat is going to win you 50 games on a average team. But you put him on a 50-something win team as the second best player. Is he going to take you to the promised land? I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But but this is also my list, so I'm going to be the judge of I'm going to be the judge of this as well. One more thing. There's probably going to be a couple more things actually, but at the very least, one more thing. Remember the question: if I am building my team to win a championship, who do I want on my team? Now, I also forgot to mention that this is a projective list, so I'm projecting how good the players are going to be for the 25-26 season. So, guys like Joel Embiid, Kristaps Porzingis, Those are the only two I can come up with right now. But like guys that are just constantly injured, are like far from a guarantee to play over 55 games. They're going to be a lot lower on the list than what their talent should say. Joel Embiid is at his best in the regular season is a top 5 player in the league. I don't think that's even a question how awesome of a regular season player he is. But we haven't seen him play a lot the past couple of years. He just gets hurt way too often. That's very, very, very important detail. And also, of course, I am going to tax you for not only your lack of availability, but also your playoff dropping as well. Joel Embiid has been a horrific playoff dropper for his entire career, pretty much. And Porzingis played awful in the playoffs last year, and the year before that won the title with the Celtics. But I think I pulled up the stat yesterday. I think he only played 7 playoff games. Was I think 7 playoff games, in which 4 games that he started, and then or maybe 3 of them he started. Maybe I had to pull this up, but like, and he only played 21 minutes per game, so he was important to the run for sure. No one's saying otherwise, but there are people that say like, "Oh, the Celtics wouldn't have won Banner 18 without him." I think the Celtics would have easily won without Porzingis. But that being said, Porzingis is one of the best rim defenders in the league. He's a great post player and he can shoot the 3 ball. Literally, all 30 NBA teams would say, "Sign me up. I want the guy on my team." If he were to stay healthy, but he just can't stay healthy, and that's why he's going to be much lower on my list than most people. So I'm pretty sure that's all it was. Building my team to win a championship. Who do I want? Injury tax. I care about ceiling raising more than floor raising. So like guys like Karl-Anthony Towns and Trae Young are going to be a little bit lower than what their talent says. Pretty sure that's it, honestly. Oh yeah, again, and we're projecting for the 25-26 season. So while last year and the year before matter for sure, if you're older and you've been on the decline for a little bit, I'm going to assume you're going to keep declining, and if you're younger and on the rise, I'm going to assume you're going to keep rising. So that's really all that is. That's my criteria, and I honestly think that's it. But I do want to, however, show you the first. I think I'm going to do the first 20 players on the list. So I'm going to do 100 through 81, and I'll do part of this today. I'll do part of it on Thursday, part of it on Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to wrap it up on Sunday or if I'm going to wrap it up in another episode, but we'll see. But regardless, yeah, those will be the 3 episodes, and then episode 100 will come around, and I won't be doing this. But so let's dive into it. Actually, let me dive into something else. I'm going to dive into what exactly how I proceed with this, just because I know that some people say like, okay, 100 names is really tough to rank. How do you do that? And it's not easy. It's a long process. And I'll explain to you how exactly I did it. So I'll zoom into this, but basically what this is I go through each division. So the Atlantic Division, I have the point guards. So each division in each position for each one. So I rank each division, each position. So these are the point guards in the Atlantic Division. So Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Emmanuel Quickley, Miles McBride. If I'm building my team to win a championship, I'd rather have I think that Jalen Brunson would be the best guy to have in my team. Given how awesome of a playoff riser he is, even though he's not great on defense, I think it's pretty safe to say he could be either the best, if not definitely the second best player on a championship team. Not sure if I could say the same for Maxey, but I do think that he has a better chance at being the better second option on a championship team than Derek White. But third option would be up in the air, but I do think that Tyrese Maxey could pull up being the second best player on a championship team, especially because I'm projecting for this year. Then Peyton Pritchard, then Quickley, Miles McBride. Did the same thing for shooting guard. I think that Mikal Bridges is the best shooting guard in the Atlantic Division as far as it goes for building my team to win a championship. If I'm building my team from scratch, I don't know if he'd be the best player. Maybe Simons might be the best player because he's a better scorer. But he has more offensive focus. But Mikal Bridges definitely offers more value to a 50 win, to like a team that needs to turn great than a guy like Anthony Simons. So that's why Bridges might be a guy that might be higher than most people. And then for small forwards, Jaylen Brown, Finals MVP. Very easily, I would take him over Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Terrence Mann, and Kelly Oubre. Those are all the other small forwards in the Atlantic Division. So like that one is a little bit easier. Then power forwards, if you realize that Jason Tatum isn't a small forward or power forward, I didn't include him on the list because he's likely going to be out the entire season. Scotty Barnes is someone that I want more than Paul George, more than OG Anunoby, more than MPJ, and more than Sam Hauser. So I'm building my team to win a championship because he's young, he plays off the ball pretty well, and he has a lot to develop. Paul George, I think, is going to be much better this year, though. Then centers, Joel Embiid, Karl-Anthony Towns, Nick Claxton, Mitch Robinson, Jakob Poeltl, Neemias Queta. I'm not going to do this for every single one, but basically what I did was I ranked every single player in each division by position. Then I went by division, in which I ranked every single player in each division. So what I did was, okay, so I think that Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Jaylen Brown, Scotty Barnes, and Joel Embiid are like the best, would be like the best player at each position. Out of those 5 guys, who do I think would be the best guy as my option on a championship team? And I think the guy is Jalen Brunson. So then I just went by I kept on going by the list. So I thought Jalen Brunson was the best option. Then I thought Jaylen Brown, then Embiid, then Towns. It all depends. So that's my. And then I did the same thing for conference. I think that Giannis is the best player in the conference. Did the same thing with Donovan Mitchell. Then Brunson, and then I made a list in July, but then I changed a couple of things up. I went back to listen to a couple of things, but I'm not going to expose the front of the list until later. Because now we're in October. And here we are. Give me 1 second. So now I have 100 through 91. I got Keegan Murray, Malik Monk, Mitch Robinson, Jalen Green, Kobe White, Nikola Vucevic, Jalen Duren, Michael Porter Jr., Devin Vassell, and Peyton Pritchard. I think those are the 91st through 100 best players in the league this year if I'm building my team to win a championship, as far as who I want on my team. Now, people can argue this all they want, and to be honest with you, it's going to be tough to make the case or even argue against it, because what do you mean Peyton Pritchard is the top 100 player in the league? Name 99 players that are better than him. Tell me who the 99 players better than him. Not many people that have the time to do this, and no, lots of people do have the time to do this, but they rightfully decide to spend their time doing better things than me, of course. But yeah, that's what I think. And I know a guy like Michael Porter Jr. I had him much higher than in years past. But that being said, again, I'm projecting for this year. He has had his injury concerns, and he's just playing on an awful team. So I know that he has the championship ring, and he is someone that is like a good 4th or 5th option on a championship team. But he also needs the right situation around him. He needs a guy like Nikola Jokic to be an all-time great offense player, giving him the right passes. He needs a guy like Aaron Gordon to defend all the other wings instead of him. He needs to be in a good situation, and that's what Porter Jr. has been in for most of his career, given that he's been with Jokic all that time. After that, the guy like Jalen Green, another guy that I had higher, but the thing is, he's just an awesome scorer at this point. He could develop into something better, but we just haven't seen him. So it's tough to justify having him much higher than 94, even though some people might want to put him higher. I know that a guy like Gilbert Arenas just loves pure hoopers, as they call them, but I just can't have him that high. And then, yeah, we have 2 sets of teammates. We have Kobe White and Nikola Vucevic back-to-back. Vucevic played really good last year, but I think that Kobe White's still the better player. And even, Keegan Murray, young player. Malik Monk is debatably like the better. I don't know. He's probably like, maybe he's better for the Kings, but I still think that Keegan Murray has the brighter future and gonna have the better season than Monk this year. So those are my thoughts. And of course, a guy like lastly, Mitch Robinson would be a much better player if he were A, not too injury prone, and B, just a better all around offensive player. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this part of the list. Next, we have 81 through 90. Actually, we could do 80 through 90 because, yeah, I was only going to do 81 through 90, but we could do 80 through 92. So we got Nick Claxton, Jabari Smith Jr., Jalen Wells, Santi Aldama, Derek Lively II, Walker Kessler, Josh Hart, DeAndre Hunter, Alex Sarr, Andrew Wiggins, and Kristaps Porzingis. I think that if you're building a team to win a championship, I think I'd rather have 89 guys ahead of Kristaps Porzingis. But didn't you say earlier he is one of the best rim defenders in the game? He's an awesome post player. He can shoot the three ball well. He plays great with other great players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Yeah, he's all those things. You know what he's also? He's very unreliable. He doesn't play in a ton of games. Not only does he not play in a ton of games, he also has been not great in the playoffs. Even in the Celtics championship run in 2024, he played awesome in game one of the finals. Pretty sure he played really well in game one of the Heat game two, if I'm not mistaken. After that, he was kind of just mad for the only a few games that he played. I know that he was injured, but again, that's part of his package. That he's likely going to be injured when he plays. And just the whole sickness they had last year, which, like, again, I'm not going to criticize him too much for that, but again, it's part of the game at this point for Porzingis is that he is going to be sick. He's going to be hurt when he's playing. I can't have that on my team. He's obviously more talented than Alex Sarr and than Andrew Wiggins and then Josh Hart. But are those guys more reliable than him? Absolutely. Like maybe if we're talking like who'd be like the best sixth man, like a guy that doesn't need to do much. Yeah, Porzingis is awesome for that. But I'd rather have all the guys 80 through 89, and obviously the guys 1 through 79 ahead of Kristaps Porzingis. We still love you, Porzingis, by the way, even though we're still mad at you for losing us the next series. We're very happy that you contributed to the NBA Finals, even though I just said you weren't really that much of help. You were. Game one is very important, very important tone setter. After that, yeah, for whatever reason, I guess I like the idea of having teammates next to each other because I also liked having Jalen Wells and Santi Aldama. That's already a third set of teammates going over 100 through 80. I think that's it, right? And yeah, those are my thoughts really. But yeah, Jabari Smith Jr. is going to be a fun name to watch. Same with Derek Lively in his new role with Anthony Davis. And yeah, Josh Hart, he was like in the 60s. I thought that was a little too high, but I think at 86. I didn't have him ranked last year at all, but I think 86 is a good spot for him, given that he's in a very small role, but he's also in a very important role for the Knicks. So those are my thoughts. So wasn't really planning on going long today because, as I mentioned, got a lot going on, and I'm also going to talk about the rest of the list later in the week. But yeah, but all in all, just think about when you're making your list. If you were to make a list, think about not even why. Like, I feel like I'm getting too philosophical, but like, not why am I doing this? Think, okay, what am I looking for? I'm telling you what I'm looking for. I'm looking for guys that could help me win championships. Who can who can play great off other great players. That's the most important thing to me. Some people disagree. They say like, no, like I'd rather have guys that could just hoop. I'd rather have guys that could score. I'd rather have guys that can just be shut down defenders because like, we already have great offense players. Sure, you come up with your own criteria. Like, and like I can argue, we could debate the criteria for sure, but arguing who's the better player is pointless if you don't have a set of ground rules for who you'd rather have on the team because you can go by talent for sure. Like that's what most people do it based on, and like I do based on that to an extent. But I care about talent, but I care about winning more. And and it's not that I'm saying that players have to be able to, the players have to have shown that they can win. It's that they can show that their play style can win. That's all I'm saying. I'm not poo-pooing on anyone who makes a list and it's bad, but I will poo-poo on someone who makes a list and it's bad and they can't explain why. That's all it is. But yeah, I went over 100 through 80 today. I also have written 2 articles from PrimetimeSportsTalk.com. I'm waiting for those to be published. But all in all, I'm very, very excited. Very excited for the NBA season. I'm very excited for showing you guys my lists. And I'm especially excited for episode 100. As I mentioned, episode 98 will be on Thursday. Episode 99 will be on Sunday. And episode 100 is to be determined, but it will be next week. and I am so psyched about that. It's been a long ride. It's been just approaching 2 years now of the Armor Groups podcasts, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done. I'm going to go in a longer rant on episode 100, but I'm very, very excited with how things have gone, and I am very, um, just very happy with, and also just very happy to be back. It's been a couple weeks since I've again sat in this very uncomfy chair, but either way, I'm looking forward to it. All right, this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at American Hooper on Twitter and at All American Hooper on Instagram and on TikTok. Be sure to check me out on NBA Max on Wednesday nights with Tony, Ori, and Jalen. That is at 8 p.m. Eastern. And be sure to check out my column on PrimetimeSportsTalk.com. Again, 2 new articles will be out very soon, and I'm likely submitting a third one tonight. This has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. I'm Chris Driscoll. Until then, keep grinding and stay hooping. Have a good night, everyone.